Hello, Bitcoin Vikings. All right, Money Viking G back here. Let's go for a little walk. Let's talk about the top 5 reasons why Bitcoin will continue to go up, although it's going to be a volatile ride as it always has been. There might be some signs that the volatility is slowing down a little bit or not as volatile. It's been going sideways for a while around that kind of, just around the 100,000 mark, dips below a bit, then pops back up, dips below, pops back up. The first thing to consider is that the reality of the world is that although globalization might be changing in terms of physical goods, the fact of the matter is that globalization in terms of the digital age is not slowing down at all. So, we all, for better or for worse, we have increasingly, and there's probably the good outweighs the bad, but increasingly every human being holds a supercomputer in their pocket. And that's been the genius of smartphones, is that we hold the supercomputer in our pocket. And increasingly that supercomputer is becoming our form of payment for goods and services, right? As an intricate part of the economy. And so the bottom line is that Bitcoin was made for this. It really was. So it was made for a digital present and a digital growing future. So that's the first reason. It's going to continue to gain adoption and use over time. And when I say use, I'm saying use as a capital asset. It's use as a store of value, because it is finite. And if you study currencies around the world, so that's number two. Number 2 is its finiteness, which many of you Bitcoiners are aware of, because that's what attracts a lot of us to it. There's only ever going to be 21 million of them. There's estimates that maybe about 6 million have been lost. I think 95% of them have been mined so far. So there's not many left to be mined. Mining is the process of doing the proof of work to create more of them, which is also crunching the computations and the blockchain analysis that basically each block is capturing the transactions among Bitcoin. But you know what, the bottom line is that the average person doesn't need to really do a deep dive into any of this stuff to be a part of Bitcoin and to have some of it on your own personal balance sheet. What's a balance sheet? So that's number 3. It's going to grow in adoption on people's personal balance sheets. What's a personal balance sheet? A balance sheet is essentially a list of your assets and your liabilities, right? And what that spits out at the end of the day is a net worth number. It tells you how much your overall net worth is in terms of financial net worth. I think every human has worth, but financial net worth, okay? The fact of the matter is many governments are in trouble. Their balance sheets are not looking so good. And that's the same for the United States. That's why we're going through a lot of this turmoil right now with the federal budget and federal agencies, is that the expenditures are way out of whack in terms of the revenue, right? In terms of the taxes coming in. And people already sort of feel taxed enough. And so there's a rebalancing going on. We're undergoing a rebalancing as we speak. So anyway, that's the bottom line on that one. So making Bitcoin a part of your personal balance sheet, so that's just basically allocating a certain amount of it to be part of your overall portfolio of assets. Let's say you have a rental property, let's say you got a 401k, let's say you got a individual brokerage account with some, you got some Apple stock and some other stuff in there. So what a lot of people are talking about is, why not put in a certain 5-10% of Bitcoin into that, right? And what I think that does for the average person is I think it mitigates risk, believe it or not. So that's the fourth thing. Bitcoin is becoming both a risk on and risk off asset. Traditional financial planners and advisors, I think, will tell you right now that it's risky. But I have to say, if you're following the news and you're following the trajectory of what's going on, it is becoming less risky literally by the day. Every day, for example, a new state introduces a bill for a Bitcoin strategic reserve. It's only a matter of time till one of them passes. And then you have something called game theory, which says that everyone else then needs to start piling in, or they're going to be totally left behind. And and almost becomes like an arms race, right? And the same is being talked about on the federal level in terms of a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the United States. And that could look like a couple different things. You could be swapping out some gold for Bitcoin. And again, I point people to study gold in that direction if they want to understand Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just a better gold, a much better gold, actually. You have to just realize all these things are psychological. Money is psychological. It's all a human construct, you know. And so at the end of the day, so is gold, right? So anyway, that's that. Okay, here's the fourth thing I want to talk about. The fourth thing is, there's a segue into it. There's massive government movement around the crypto and Bitcoin space, right? And what that's going to do is that is going to decrease risk, and it's going to increase the value of the asset, because it actually makes the asset safer, because it's creating a rule system around it. It's giving it legitimacy. Institutions are buying in, BlackRock, etc. And so my big takeaway I would say is go study Senator Lummis. Okay, Senator Lummis from Wyoming, I believe. She is, I think, kind of really the cheerleader for all of this and spearheading it, although lots of senators and congresspeople are behind it. So definitely check that out. Okay, so I'm getting my fifth and final reason why, number five, fifth reason why Bitcoin is going to continue to go up. The reality is, what else do we have? And I'll just put it this way. Every other asset you can think of, and I've seen the research, I've seen the charts, etc. Every other asset has a lot of fatal flaws to it, right? And some are better than others, but there's a lot of fatal flaws to them. Let's take an index fund of stocks, for example. Hey, I think it's a great investment vehicle. I believe in compounding. I believe in the long-term returns of that. But there's definitely risk in the devaluation of the currency, the dollar. And then there are a lot of tax implications. So let's say you're getting, the average 8 to 10% over time on that portfolio of assets. Basically, you are losing a lot of that to, hopefully your fees aren't high. A lot of people lose some of it to fees. Then you're losing a lot of it to taxes. And then you're losing a lot of it to the diminution of the currency. So it's kind of like one of these things where, what are you really making? 2%? It takes a long time to grow wealth at that rate. Okay, there's also things like real estate. Real estate's good. I like real estate investing. Real estate has its problems though too. So real estate falls apart. Real estate has a lot of headaches, a lot of maintenance that goes into it. You can do real estate investment trusts, but that's really just like the stock market, maybe a little safer. But you put it into a building, you're gonna have a lot to deal with. That is definitely like managing a small business. Will you make some money over time? Yes, as long as the tax codes stay in your favor and you have all those write-offs, because otherwise it probably won't make much money at all. So that's a big part of it as well. Let's talk about cash. What are you gonna do with cash? Yeah, you can hoard cash, you can hold on to cash, and essentially as the price of eggs and everything else in this world, and we can cast blame as to why and who, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is inflation of fiat currencies is like a built-in part of it, right? And so basically you're always going to be treading water if you're talking about cash. Bonds I've had a love-hate relationship with over the years. I've had bonds where I've thought, oh, this isn't risky, you're making some return, some yield, and they go kaput. So I don't know. It's just hard to say, guys. You can run a small business. That's good. That's a good thing. Got to find the right one. Everything's being disrupted by technology and AI, so you have a lot of risk there. So my point is, my fifth main point is, and I said this in one of my earlier videos, if not Bitcoin, then what? What else is there? And I don't really think there's a good answer. And if you guys know it, tell me. I'd like to know in the comments. I definitely see, my personal finance guru friends out there in the internet land, I see there's some of them that totally avoid this topic. And you know, at Money Vikings, we try everything and we look at what works. We're doing this with a dose of reality, not with preconceived notions. 7-8 years ago, when Jerry introduced me to Bitcoin and to crypto, I was a skeptic. I was a total skeptic. But then as I started getting into it and then I started studying it, it just makes a lot more sense. Now, let me point something out. I'm a Bitcoin first guy. So Bitcoin is decentralized. No one is controlling it. It's all in there in the code, 21 million, etc. Truly a global digital asset, truly. Every other project, I call them projects, every other crypto project, whereas some of them might have merits and they're trying to solve some kind of problem, some sort of decentralized finance problem. Let's face it, they're still controlled by fallible humans. Humans are controlling those projects. In my mind, that means they can be manipulated. I'm not against some of them. I understand they probably mean well. You got to read the white papers, all that kind of stuff, do your research, and I'm sure people will make money at them. But those I just dabble in, I'm not as into it. The third category, of course, are the meme coins. You know, I don't know. They're being called digital collectibles. You guys know, if you watch Money Vikings, I'm really big into collectibles. But I do like tangible collectibles. I do like cards and comics. I like stuff I can touch when it comes to collectibles. Not sure about, buying a copy of a digital collectible, to be honest. But you know what? More power to you. Maybe that's just another generation and I don't understand it. So anyway, thanks for joining. Have a wonderful day and happy Super Bowl. See you on the next one, guys. Thanks.